Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet. Connor Seitz-Bowen asks, associated with my favourite large engineering project, and this is a fascinating question because it's something that I rarely think about. When I think about amazing infrastructural development and these kind of things, well, let me just say I don't normally think about that. I mean, I think about things like the new Parliament House being built in Australia and the ability at the time, which you can't do now, to actually sleep on the lawn, to go to bed on the lawn of the new Parliament House and wake up in the morning with the sunrise on the lawn of the new Parliament House. And in Australia, I have various romantic connections with certain buildings like the Australian War Memorial. But as Short Funk has shown, my relationship with the people of the Australian War Memorial, not quite as good as the building. So in this light, I think there are a number of amazing architectural engineering feats that I've observed through my general wanderings. And actually, really, it's interesting because I guess I don't really pay too much attention to, for example, there are towers in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur that are very famous. And certainly, going to New York City, I don't think I ever really thought about the Twin Towers. I walked down Wall Street accidentally once in New York, but I don't think I really observed the Twin Towers then. I was actually far more interested with the fact that I was being surrounded by like a Jewish school, lots of little boys with yarmulkes on. And that was actually what captivated me more walking around Wall Street than the buildings and the structures. I guess I just treat these things in a relatively blasé sense. Certainly living in an old house, built in 1912, I am amazed associated with the woodwork here. And when we lived in the UK in a terrace house, similarly 1880, I think, maybe 1860, just amazing that these structures exist. I haven't had the benefit of seeing the pyramids. I mean, in terms of the ancient structures that I've seen a few Roman walls, this kind of stuff. I've never been to Greece and seen any of that stuff. I mean, certainly in Rome, I have very faint memories of Rome. Really, very faint memories of Rome. So, in the New World, you get very used to stuff that's not really that old. But the older stuff always interests me more than the newer stuff. I think modern technology is amazing, but it's just nothing compared to, when people had to move things around on tree trunks and stuff like that. And most of the architecture I've seen, certainly the architecture in the UK, postdates that. They had means of lugging stuff, which were far more civilized than just rocks, basically, or logs that they were moving rocks on. But, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. The rock terraces of Yorkshire, they're amazing structures that were built by humans. Relatively unassuming, just lots of slate lined up, but they fulfill a purpose. In fact, actually, the farmlands of England, the farmlands of Ireland, to fly over the UK and just see these amazingly eccentric shaped farms that people still live on today. I don't know. This isn't a large engineering project. The slate walls of Yorkshire are not large engineering projects by standard sense. But I guess, modernity, skyscrapers, all this kind of stuff. I don't know. They work, they function. It's interesting actually knowing the metal melting characteristics based on the 9/11 truthers that I can actually point out that, yes, jet fuel with oxygen will melt steel, will melt structural steel, will warp it in these ways. So it's not a good question for me, Connor Seitz-Bowen. Maybe I'm just too blasé about these things. I need to open my eyes and enjoy the world a bit more, or at least the city-based world. I really like Gothic cathedrals, which you tend to find more on mainland Europe, certainly in Germany and France and this kind of stuff. Less so in the UK. Well, not really the same. So, yeah, these kind of buildings strike me as extraordinary, particularly when people raise to me the immense religiosity of Americans, and I just think particularly Europeans that raise this with me, because when you look at a Gothic cathedral, you kind of get a sense that even if they're not packed out on Sunday, there's still a certain degree of religiosity that exists in Europe too. So Connor, I failed you for this question. I'm going to think more about it. I might come back in a future Short Funk recording and just say, yes, this particular structure, this is what amazes me. The Golden Gate Bridge is pretty nice, I think. And really large bridge structures, Sydney Harbour Bridge, this kind of stuff. These things interest me on some level. And there are a variety of bridges that I've been over where they just function remarkably well, even in storms and through earthquakes and a variety of things. So, yes, utilitarian engineering marvels, more than particularly artistic ones. And I guess I also reflect on what they call stately homes in the UK. But these things are really just obscene, like they're obscene architectural things. So I failed you, Conosites Bone, on this question. But I'm sure I'll return to one of your others and hopefully give it a better shot. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.